Nobody's coming to save you, not your friends, not your family, not the world. And that's not a tragedy, it's your ultimate freedom. You see, the harsh truth is this: nobody really cares. Nobody cares if you're tired. Nobody cares if you've been through hell. Nobody cares if you failed last year or last night, and they shouldn't, because life doesn't reward the wounded, it rewards the warriors. This world honors those who rise, regardless of how many times they've been knocked down. So, what's the solution? Focus on yourself, ruthlessly, completely, obsessively, because once you stop waiting for validation and start validating yourself, you become unstoppable. Welcome to Napoleon Hill Motivation, the channel where we fuel the fire inside you using raw truth, timeless success psychology, and the unshakable discipline of legends. If you're ready to master yourself and dominate your life, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment below. I owe it to myself to win. Let's build a community of warriors. Now let's dive in. Section 1, the cold truth. Nobody cares. Let's get something straight from the start. Nobody cares. Not about your dreams, not about your sleepless nights, not about how hard life is for you. And guess what? They're not supposed to. You're not here to be pitied. You're here to evolve. The sooner you stop expecting others to understand your struggle, the faster you'll start becoming powerful. Because this world, this loud, chaotic, attention-deficient world, only listens when you succeed. Until then, you're just another whisper in the wind, a background character in their story, and that's the cold, unfiltered truth. But here's where things shift. This isn't something to cry about, it's something to celebrate. Because when you realize nobody owes you help, nobody owes you empathy, nobody owes you a handout, something inside you changes. You stop waiting, you stop hoping, you stop negotiating with life like it's going to give you a deal. You start acting like the main character, like the one who doesn't beg, but builds. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." But that seed, that benefit, it doesn't come to those who complain. It comes to those who grind, who elevate, who decide that their pain will not be wasted. Here's the reality. Nobody cares if you're tired, so rest and return stronger. Nobody cares if you failed, so fail forward with purpose. Nobody cares about your past, so create a future that's undeniable. This is the exact moment where most people break down. But you're not most people. You're here because something in your spirit refuses to die. And that part of you, it's begging for one thing: focus. Laser focus on yourself, on your discipline, on your evolution. Because the more you focus inward, the less power the outside world has over you. You stop reacting, you start creating, you stop pleasing, you start building, you stop explaining, you start becoming. And I'm telling you this because I know you've been through things that almost broke you. I know you've had moments where you questioned your worth, your strength, even your purpose. But here's what I also know. You didn't come this far to stop. You didn't suffer this much just to return to average. You didn't lose people, waste years, bleed silently through battles just to live a quiet, disappointed life. No. You're still here because you have a fire inside you. And today, that fire needs to be fed. Not with pity, but with purpose. Right now, I want you to drop a comment below and write, "I owe it to myself to win." Say it out loud, type it, tattoo it on your mindset. That's your new truth. This is your life, nobody else's. So stop explaining, stop complaining, stop waiting for a round of applause that's never coming. Earn it, own it, become it. And while the world keeps scrolling, judging, laughing, and sleeping, you'll be grinding in silence, focusing on yourself, stacking wins in the dark until you shine so bright they can't look away. Like this video, if this truth lit a fire in you, comment below. I owe it to myself to win. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation. This is where warriors are built. And hit the bell because your mindset should be your strongest muscle. Section 2, the psychology of dependence. Why is it so hard to walk away from people who don't value us? Why do we keep trying to prove our worth to those who are blind to it? Why do we crave applause for battles they never saw us fight? The answer lies deep within the psychology of dependence. From childhood, we're trained to seek validation. When we smiled, we were praised. When we followed the rules, we were rewarded. Our brain, over time, built a link. Approval equals safety. Approval equals love. But in the real world, this mindset is a trap. Because now, you're no longer a child. The people around you aren't obligated to clap for your growth, your healing, or your grind. And the more you depend on their recognition, the more power you hand them over your life. Here's the truth. Needing validation is the enemy of greatness. Every time you check who viewed your story, every time you wait for someone to say, "I'm proud of you," every time you shrink your light to be liked, you're feeding a psychological addiction that kills potential. This is called external locus of control, a concept in psychology that explains how some people believe their life is controlled by outside forces, people, circumstances, fate. But those who succeed, they operate with an internal locus of control. They believe, I am responsible, I am in charge, I make the moves, I own the consequences. Napoleon Hill understood this well. In Think and Grow Rich, he said, until you are master of your own thoughts, you will never be master of your fate. Let that sink in. The more you seek validation, the more you delay self-mastery. And let's be clear, people's opinions are temporary. One day they'll cheer you, the next day they'll criticize you for the same thing. If you ride the roller coaster of public approval, you'll never find peace, only panic. So what's the fix? You build from the inside out. You redefine what success means on your terms. You show up for yourself whether anyone notices or not. Because once you stop needing attention, you become the most dangerous version of yourself. People can no longer manipulate you. They can't use praise to control you or silence to punish you. You become free. And that freedom, that's where transformation begins. If you really want to evolve, then start here. Cut the emotional umbilical cord tying your self-worth to other people's reactions. You don't need their approval. You need your own discipline. You don't need applause. You need your own progress. You don't need followers. You need focus. Let this moment be your shift. From now on, when someone doesn't believe in you, good. When they mock you, good. When they ignore you, even better. Because the less noise you get from the outside, the more clarity you build on the inside. Right now, pause this video for a moment and comment below, my growth doesn't need permission. Let the world know you're done seeking, you're done begging, you're done dancing for likes in a world full of blind eyes. You're focused, you're grounded, and you're building something nobody else can take from you because it was never built for them. Smash the like button if you're claiming your power back. Comment, my growth doesn't need permission. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation for relentless truths and unstoppable energy. Hit the bell so your discipline grows with every video. Section 3, victimhood versus victory. Let's draw a hard line right now. You can either live in victimhood or rise to victory, but you can't do both. One keeps you trapped in your past. The other catapults you into your future. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people run from. Being a victim gives you a story. Being victorious gives you a legacy. And too many people are addicted to their story. They wear it like a badge of identity. They relive their trauma not to heal, but to be seen, to be pitied, to be held emotionally hostage by the people around them. But listen carefully. Nobody is going to hand you power while you're holding on to pain. We've all been hurt, betrayed, rejected, overlooked. Some of us grew up without love. Some were raised in chaos. Some were handed battles they didn't ask for. But none of that is an excuse to stop fighting. In fact, it's the reason you must fight harder. Napoleon Hill once said, every man who has reached the age of understanding is the product of his thoughts. Not his trauma, not his past, not what happened to him. His thoughts. Your mindset is the battlefield. And the moment you stop defining yourself by what happened to you and start defining yourself by what you're building next, you win. You flip the script. You stop being the person life happened to and become the person who rewrote the ending. Now let's be clear. This isn't about ignoring your pain. This is about transmuting it. There's a psychological principle called post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that pain, when faced with courage and clarity, doesn't break you. It builds you. The people who walk through fire and come out unrecognizable, they didn't survive by complaining. They didn't win by being victims. They transformed by confronting the pain, owning their part, and weaponizing the lesson. Because victory isn't a trophy, it's a mindset. And it begins the moment you say, this story will not end in weakness, this story will end in greatness, because I am the one writing it. So ask yourself honestly, are you talking about the pain more than you're working to overcome it? Are you using your story as a shield or as a sword? Are you waiting for sympathy or building your legacy? The truth is, nobody respects victim energy. They might feel sorry for you. They might nod when you talk about your pain. But in the end, they move on. They forget. They scroll past. But when you rise, when you win in silence, when you use the pain they thought would bury you to build something unshakable, they remember. They don't remember the story. They remember the comeback. They remember how you flipped the weight into wisdom. They remember how you walked alone and came back with fire in your eyes. And so today, I want you to choose victory. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way forward. Drop a comment below if you're claiming it. I refuse to be a victim. I choose to rise. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your break from the past. Because victimhood is comfortable, but it's a cage. Victory is uncomfortable, but it's freedom. And freedom, my friend, is worth everything. Like this, if you're choosing strength over sympathy, comment, I refuse to be a victim. I choose to rise. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation for the mindset of champions. Hit the bell to become mentally unstoppable every single day. Section 4, what Napoleon Hill said about self-reliance. If there's one thing Napoleon Hill preached over and over again, it was this: no one is coming to rescue you. Not fate, not luck, not a magical opportunity, and definitely not people. You have to rely on one person, and one person only, you. Now let's dive deep into what that really means. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill emphasized the principle of definiteness of purpose, knowing exactly what you want and taking total responsibility for achieving it. That's self-reliance at its core. Every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Napoleon Hill, read that again. He's saying eliminate plan B. Why? Because when you leave the back door open, you'll eventually take it. But when you commit with everything you've got, when you remove all excuses, dependencies, and distractions, you unlock the mindset of greatness. Self-reliance isn't just about survival. It's about choosing ownership in a world where most people choose blame. You see, the average person believes in external causes. My boss is the problem. My parents didn't raise me right. The economy is bad. The world is unfair. But the moment you believe that your future depends on your own actions, you take back the power that society, your past, and other people have stolen from you. This is what separates dreamers from doers, victims from victors, followers from leaders. Self-reliance is the foundation of freedom. Now let's bring in the psychology behind it. There's a theory called self-determination theory, which says that humans thrive when three things are present. Autonomy, you feel in control of your actions. Competence, you believe you're capable of success. Relatedness, you have meaningful connections, but not dependence. Self-reliance feeds the first two directly. When you own your path and push through obstacles, you develop true autonomy and competence. And those two are responsible for long-term fulfillment. And let's be real, most people are miserable because they've handed over their control. They depend on others to tell them what's possible. They wait for permission to go after what they want. They blame the system, the government, the algorithm, anyone but themselves. But you're here because something in you knows you were built for more. You don't need more handouts. You need more hunger. You don't need another pep talk. You need a plan. You don't need validation. You need vision. Napoleon Hill also warned us about one of the greatest dangers to self-reliance: indecision. Indecision is the seedling of fear. Every time you delay action, every time you hesitate, you feed fear. But when you move boldly, even when uncertain, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you can trust your own mind, your own instincts, your own grind. That's what makes a champion. So here's the challenge for you today. Burn the backup plan. Stop waiting to be saved. Start becoming the person who doesn't flinch when life gets hard. Right now, comment below and let the world know I rely on no one but myself. Say it with pride. Say it with power. You've got everything you need. Right here, right now. Because at the end of the day, self-reliance isn't a choice for the elite. It's the price of freedom. Like this, if you're ready to walk alone and win anyway. Drop a comment. I rely on no one but myself. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation and become your own power source. Turn on the bell. Your growth deserves consistency. Section 5, energy is currency. Spend it wisely. If you really want to change your life, don't just look at your goals. Start tracking your energy. Because in this world, energy is more valuable than money, more critical than time, more defining than talent. Your energy is your true currency. Every thought you think, every conversation you have, every environment you step into, it's either making a deposit or draining your internal account. Now ask yourself honestly, where is your energy going? Most people don't realize this, but they're going bankrupt. Not financially, but energetically. They waste energy, arguing with people who don't matter, scrolling endlessly through lives they'll never live, pleasing people who wouldn't even show up if they needed help, obsessing over things that are completely outside their control, and then they wonder why they feel tired all the time, why their motivation fades, why nothing sticks. It's simple, they're broke on the inside. Napoleon Hill taught that your thoughts are the starting point of all riches, and he wasn't just talking about money. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. To do that, you must protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Let's break this down using a simple psychological principle called cognitive load. Your brain only has so much bandwidth. The more junk you allow into your mind, toxic relationships, meaningless gossip, information overload, the less focus, willpower, and creativity you have left for what actually matters. This is why elite athletes, CEOs, and high performers ruthlessly manage their inputs. They keep their circles tight, say no often, control their morning routines, limit exposure to negativity, schedule solitude to recharge their mental battery. They understand that energy is a finite resource, and once it's gone, it's gone. So what does this mean for you? It means you have to become ruthless with your focus. Start auditing your life like your dream depends on it, because it does. Look at your daily routine and ask, who gives me energy? Who drains it? What habits fuel me? What habits deplete me? Which goals align with my purpose? Which ones are distractions wearing a disguise? It's time to cut the leaks. Stop trying to save everyone. Stop entertaining conversations that leave you mentally exhausted. Stop investing in people who wouldn't even invest 5 minutes in you. This is your energy economy, and you are the CEO. And remember, no one else is going to protect your energy for you. They'll take and take and take until there's nothing left, unless you draw the line. Hill wrote, concentration of effort and the definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Translation, focus your energy where it multiplies, not where it evaporates. Right now, drop a comment and declare it loud. I spend my energy on what builds me. That's your new mindset. That's your new standard, because when you start treating your energy like gold, your time becomes sacred, your work becomes precise, and your life becomes unshakable. If you felt that truth, like this video right now, comment below. I spend my energy on what builds me. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation for fire that feeds your mind and sharpens your focus. Hit the bell, because your energy deserves protection and power every single day. Section 6, become your own rescue plan. You've been waiting too long, waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone to notice you, waiting for the world to give you a break. But the truth is, no one is coming. Not your friends, not your family, not a mentor, a guru, or a perfect opportunity. You are the plan. And until you realize that, you'll stay stuck in the cycle of almost, someday, and never. It's time to wake up to a new truth. Self-rescue is the only real rescue. See, life doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to discipline. It doesn't reward hope. It rewards execution. And it doesn't open doors for the passive. It opens them for the one who builds a battering ram out of pain, failure, and raw hunger. Psychologically, we're wired to look for someone stronger to lean on. From infancy, we're dependent. It's natural. But if you never evolve beyond that default programming, the world will chew you up and spit you out, because dependency leads to emotional paralysis. The more you wait for someone to fix your situation, the more helpless you feel, and helplessness over time becomes hopelessness. But here's what separates legends from the lost. They stop outsourcing their power. They stop saying, I need help. I hope someone gives me a shot. I can't do this alone. And they start saying, if I fall, I rise. If I fail, I learn. If it's hard, I adapt. This is what Napoleon Hill meant when he wrote, self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. If you do not control your thoughts, you cannot control your needs. And needs, if not managed, become weapons life uses against you. If you need someone to believe in you before you act, if you need support before you move, if you need someone to approve your dream before you begin, you're already disarmed. You don't need anything but your decision, your focus, your commitment. Let's bring this into the psychological realm. In behavioral therapy, there's a principle called learned helplessness. When someone repeatedly experiences failure or pain without a way to escape, they eventually stop trying, even when escape becomes possible. And you know what breaks that cycle? Action, tiny daily action, even when it's messy, even when it's lonely, even when it's terrifying. You don't become strong by thinking about being strong. You become strong by doing the things that terrify the old version of you. So today, you build your own rescue plan. You write your own blueprint, create your own systems, master your own mindset, become so self-sufficient that even when life hits hard, you don't crumble, you calculate. This is how warriors are made. Not in comfort, not in conversation, but in confrontation. When you stare your situation dead in the eyes and say, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not backing down, I will outlast this. So let the world watch, or don't. Let them help, or don't. Let them clap, or stay silent. You will move either way. Now comment this and lock it in. I am my own rescue plan. Say it, believe it, live it, because the more you depend on yourself, the less you fear the world, and that's the beginning of a life on your terms. Like this, if you're ready to stop waiting and start building, comment, I am my own rescue plan. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where mental warriors are born. Turn on notifications, because your rise won't be delayed anymore. Section 7, why people want you weak. It's uncomfortable to admit, but the truth is, some people don't want to see you strong, not because they're evil, not because they want to hurt you, but because your strength exposes their weakness. Understand this clearly. When you level up, you don't just rise, you disrupt. You disrupt the comfort of mediocrity. You disrupt the balance of dependency. You disrupt the silent agreement they made with themselves to stay small. So they try to keep you where you are, weak, uncertain, and dependent. Maybe it's subtle. They tell you to take it easy. They say you've changed. They laugh when you say you're chasing something big. Or maybe it's direct. They mock your goals. They guilt trip you for not being available. They question your priorities every time you choose discipline over distraction. This isn't about hate, it's about insecurity. You becoming powerful is a mirror they can't stand to look into because it reflects everything they've refused to face in themselves. Napoleon Hill said, "Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act on building the life you desire." But too often we do the opposite. We stay around people who keep us emotionally broke. Why? Because it's easier to be accepted by the familiar than to be alone in your evolution. But let me tell you something hard and necessary. You can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. People want you weak so they can stay the same. If you become strong, independent, focused, you start asking different questions. You stop gossiping. You start grinding. You stop people-pleasing. You start planning. You stop sitting around. You start showing up. And that shakes things up. It forces them to choose, grow with you or try to pull you back down. This is the crabs in a bucket mentality. Put one crab in a bucket, it'll climb out. Put many in a bucket, they'll pull each other down before letting one escape. That's what weak people do. Not because they want to see you suffer, but because they can't imagine life outside that bucket. And you're making them uncomfortable just by trying. So what do? You get ruthless about your circle. You protect your mind like your future depends on it. Because it does. You start surrounding yourself with people who don't get threatened by your ambition, they get inspired by it. Because here's what happens when you stay around the wrong people. You shrink your vision to make them feel better. You downplay your growth to protect their ego. You start settling little by little until you forget who you were becoming. And you're not here for that. You're not here to stay small. You're not here to dim your light. You're not here to make others comfortable while you suffer in silence. You're here to elevate, even if it means walking alone, even if it means losing the old circle, even if it means becoming the villain in someone else's story, just to become the hero in your own. Right now, drop this in the comments and stand on it. I choose strength, even if it makes others uncomfortable, because your success was never meant to please everyone. It was meant to free you. And if they wanted to grow with you, they would have laced up their shoes when you started running. Like this, if you're done shrinking for the comfort of others, comment, I choose strength, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, the place where strength is non-negotiable. Turn on the bell. We're just getting started. Section 8, silence over sympathy. You don't need more sympathy. You don't need more people telling you, I'm sorry you're going through this. What you need is silence. Not because silence is comfortable, but because silence makes you sharp. Let's be brutally honest. The world won't stop spinning because you're hurting. Opportunities won't wait for you to feel better. Success won't lower its standards just because you had a tough week. And sympathy, it feels good in the short term, but it keeps you stuck in the long term. When people constantly tell you how hard your life is, it activates a psychological loop, emotional reinforcement. You start associating attention with pain. The more pain you express, the more comfort you get. And without realizing it, you start performing weakness just to feel seen. But you weren't built for that. You weren't born to be pitied. You're here to become a weapon, forged in silence, tempered in fire. Napoleon Hill knew this truth well. He wrote, "Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it." Read that again, show it first. Because real power is quiet. Real growth happens when no one's clapping. Real strength is built in the dark, not broadcasted in the daylight. Too many people waste years explaining their struggle instead of executing their escape. They talk and talk and talk, hoping someone will finally say, I understand. But here's the truth. You don't need to be understood. You need to be unstoppable. Psychologically, silence creates something called cognitive dissonance, when people can't figure you out because you're not broadcasting every move. And that's powerful, because mystery breeds respect. And focus, that lives in silence. Let's go even deeper. There's a reason the greatest transformations happen away from the crowd. The gym, the journal, the early mornings, the late nights, all of it is done in silence. Nobody sees the sweat, nobody sees the doubt, nobody hears the inner war. And that's exactly why you win. Because when you stop wasting energy trying to explain yourself to people who aren't even listening, you reclaim it for yourself. You channel it into growth, into progress, into excellence. Let them wonder what you're doing. Let them assume you've fallen off. Let them laugh at your quiet season, because what's coming next will speak louder than any words ever could. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel the urge to vent, pause, breathe, and build something instead. Trade sympathy for silence. Trade talking for transforming. Trade validation for evolution. Because when you show up different, stronger, wiser, quieter, they'll notice. They'll ask how you did it. And all you'll say is, I was working while you were watching, so now I want you to declare it in the comments, silence is my power. Because from this moment on, your story won't be told in complaints, it'll be written in results. And when the noise fades, when the likes stop coming, when nobody checks in, you'll still be rising. Like this if you're done explaining and ready to evolve. Comment, silence is my power. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation for content that cuts through the noise and strengthens your soul. Turn on the bell, silence is your new strategy, and we'll be right here, fueling your quiet fire. Section 9, cut the noise, eliminate distractions. Let's be clear, distraction is the new addiction, and if you don't learn to cut the noise will cut your future short. We live in a world designed to hijack your attention. Notifications, messages, useless updates, endless scrolling, and while everyone else is distracted by nonsense, the few who master focus are building empires in silence. Let me ask you something serious. How much of your life have you lost to things that didn't matter? Scrolling past people you'll never meet, watching stories instead of living your own, getting caught up in drama that doesn't pay your bills or build your purpose. It adds up, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, until years go by and you wake up with regret instead of results. Napoleon Hill warned us of this trap long before social media even existed. The majority of people are drifters. They go through life without definite purpose, and that is why they never achieve anything worthwhile. And what causes drifting? Distraction. The enemy of success isn't failure, it's fragmentation. It's trying to do everything and ending up with nothing. It's living wide and shallow instead of deep and focused. Psychologists call this attention residue. It means every time you switch tasks, from work to checking your phone, from reading to replying to comments, you leave a little part of your mind behind. And over time, those pieces scatter. Your focus becomes diluted. Your energy becomes divided. Your drive becomes dust. You want to build something legendary? Cut the noise. Start simple. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb for 2 hours every day. Turn off every notification that isn't life or death. Clean your physical space, because clutter around you creates chaos within you. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel smaller, not stronger. Say no to things that steal your time just to keep others happy. You owe no one your distraction. You owe yourself your full attention. The truth is, focus is not a gift. It's a discipline, and the world isn't going to hand it to you. You have to fight for it, carve out space for it, protect it like your mission depends on it, because it does. Every great thinker, builder, leader, they all had one thing in common. They protected their focus like it was sacred, because it is. Focus is where creativity happens. It's where execution lives. It's where you go from average to unstoppable. You cannot master your craft if you're constantly checking who liked your last post. You cannot build your empire if you're answering every call from people who've never built anything. You cannot change your life if you're chasing 1,000 things that mean nothing. It's time to shut it down. Shut off the noise. Shut down the opinions. Shut out the people who don't understand where you're going. Right now, drop this in the comments to anchor your shift. My focus is not for sale, because it's not for approval, not for attention, not for entertainment. You've got work to do, you've got a vision to manifest, you've got a legacy to build, and that doesn't happen in the middle of chaos. It happens in the calm of control. Like this, if you're taking your mind back from distraction, comment below, my focus is not for sale. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation. We train minds to go deep, stay sharp, and win relentlessly. Hit the bell. Your silence and focus deserve powerful reinforcement. Section 10, discipline over motivation. Let's make one thing very clear. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. Motivation feels good. It's exciting. It makes you want to move. But it's inconsistent. It fades. It disappears when life punches you in the mouth. And guess what? The people who win in life, they don't rely on feelings. They rely on discipline. Because discipline doesn't ask, do I feel like it? Discipline says, I do it because I said I would. No questions, no negotiations, no excuses. Motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. You won't always be inspired. You won't always be confident. You won't always be praised or noticed. But if you're disciplined, none of that matters. Let's break it down from a psychological perspective. Motivation is linked to dopamine, the brain chemical that spikes when we anticipate rewards. That's why you get excited about goals or new beginnings. But dopamine is short-lived, and when it dips, most people stop. Discipline, however, lives in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning, judgment, and decision-making. That's why successful people don't chase the high. They build systems. They don't wait to feel good. They do what needs to be done until it becomes who they are. Napoleon Hill wrote, self-discipline is the master key to riches, not luck, not intelligence. self-discipline, because discipline is the bridge between your vision and your reality. It's what gets you up early when nobody else is awake. It's what pushes you to keep going when everything in your body screams to quit. It's what holds you accountable when your emotions want to make excuses. And let's be real, you won't always be surrounded by people who push you. You won't always get encouragement. Sometimes the only voice you'll have is the one that says, get up, do the work, keep going. You want real transformation? Then stop chasing hype and start building habits. Wake up at the same time every day. Train your mind like it's a muscle. Show up whether you feel like it or not. Because every time you follow through, especially when it's hard, you're casting a vote for the future you want. You're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. And that trust, that's power. Discipline is what turns potential into performance. It's what separates the almost from the always, the wishers from the winners. You don't need more motivation. You need more structure, more consistency, more non-negotiable routines that force progress even on your worst days. Right now, while others are hitting snooze, while they're waiting for inspiration to strike, you're building something unshakable because you've chosen the narrow path, the one where feelings take a back seat to faith in the process. Drop this in the comments if you're claiming this mindset. I do it with or without motivation. Let that be your new identity. Someone who doesn't flinch, someone who shows up, someone who finishes what they start, no matter what. Because discipline isn't punishment, it's liberation. It's the freedom to live life on your own terms because you've earned it. Like this if you're done depending on moods and ready to build mental muscle. Comment, I do it with or without motivation. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation. This is where warriors are built. Turn on notifications. Your discipline deserves reinforcement daily. Section 11, work in silence, mindset. Let me tell you a truth most people avoid. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. In this world of nonstop noise, of oversharing, overposting, and overcompensating, real power moves in silence. Real focus is quiet. And real transformation doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself when the results become undeniable. This is the work in silence mindset. It's the mindset that says, I don't need applause, I need discipline. I don't need likes, I need legacy. I don't need to be seen, I need to become. See, every time you tell the world what you're about to do, you activate a dangerous psychological pattern. Your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical you get from actually achieving the goal. So you feel good even though you've done nothing yet. And that reward, it kills the hunger. This is called social reality substitution, a concept in psychology that explains how talking about your goals can trick your brain into thinking you've already achieved them. But you haven't. You're just performing progress. You're getting praise for potential, not results. And Napoleon Hill warned us about this. Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. This is the equivalent of saying that deeds and not words are what count most. Let's break this down. When you work in silence, you build without distractions, grow without judgment, evolve without comparison. Nobody's questioning your process. Nobody's projecting their limits onto your dream. Nobody's trying to steer your ship when they don't even know where you're going. Silence protects your power because in silence there is clarity, and where there is clarity there is movement. Now don't confuse silence with weakness. You're not hiding, you're sharpening. You're not avoiding, you're advancing. You're not invisible, you're invincible in the making. The world will always favor the finished product over the blueprint. So don't show them the sketch, show them the skyscraper. You want to build something real? Stop seeking validation and start seeking execution. The grind doesn't need to be broadcasted. The hustle doesn't need a hashtag. Let the doubters doubt. Let the critics sleep on you. When your results walk in the room, they'll have no choice but to stand. And while everyone else is chasing clout, chasing followers, chasing fake momentum, you'll be chasing mastery. You'll be building something that can't be deleted, canceled, or taken away because it was earned, not performed. So today, make the decision to go dark on distractions and light up your discipline. Make your progress private, your energy protected, and your mission personal. Because when it's quiet, you can finally hear the voice that matters most, your own. Comment below and declare this for yourself. I don't need attention, I need results. Let the world see the after, not the in-between. Like this if you're ready to starve distractions and feed discipline. Comment, I don't need attention, I need results. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where silent warriors become legends. Turn on the bell, because your best work happens when no one's watching. Section 12, focus is a superpower in a world drowning in distractions. One trait separates the elite from the average. Focus, not talent, not luck, not intelligence, laser focus, ruthless focus. Because in this overstimulated society, being able to lock in on one thing and stay locked is no longer normal. It's rare. And what's rare is valuable. It's no exaggeration to say this. Focus is the new superpower. Let's break it down. Right now, your mind is under constant attack. Apps are fighting for your attention. People are pulling at your time. The algorithm wants to own your brain. And if you don't fight back, you will lose yourself in the noise. This isn't a metaphor. It's psychology. There's a cognitive phenomenon called attention fragmentation. It happens when your mind is pulled in multiple directions by stimuli, notifications, conversations, to-do lists, and as a result, your ability to think deeply and stay present shrinks. Over time, your brain adapts. You become used to shallow thinking. You lose the ability to focus for more than a few minutes. You start chasing stimulation instead of chasing mastery. Now ask yourself, how many of your dreams have died, not because you weren't capable, but because you couldn't stay focused long enough to finish? This is what Napoleon Hill was warning us about when he said, concentration of effort is the beginning of all achievement. That's not just poetic, it's scientific. Focused attention is what separates activity from accomplishment. It's what turns talent into skill and skill into success. Here's the truth nobody likes to admit. Most people don't fail because they're not good enough. They fail because they can't stay locked in. They try everything, master nothing. They start everything, finish nothing. They want everything but don't give anything their full attention. If that's you, it's time to change. It's time to stop multitasking and start deep tasking. To shut the door, shut the tabs, shut the phone off, and go deep. Deep into your craft, deep into your discipline, deep into the boring, repetitive, powerful grind that breeds greatness. Focus is how legends are made. You think Kobe Bryant or Elon Musk or Steve Jobs became who they were by checking their phones every 5 minutes? No. They were obsessed, consumed, immersed, and you don't need to be a genius to follow their path. You just need to protect your attention like it's your life's most precious asset, because it is. So here's your strategy. Create focus blocks every day. 90 minutes of uninterrupted deep work. Eliminate useless notifications. Keep your goals visible and your distractions invisible. Develop a one thing at a time mindset, because multitasking is a lie. Train your brain daily. The more you focus, the stronger your focus becomes. And when you master that focus, you become unstoppable. You execute faster. You think clearer. You finish what others only fantasize about. Now I want you to make this your mantra. Comment it, say it out loud. My focus is my power. Let the world chase trends. You're chasing greatness. Let them scroll. You build. Let them get distracted. You get dangerous. Like this, if you're done with scattered energy and ready to focus like a warrior, comment, my focus is my power. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where mental mastery becomes your lifestyle. Turn on the bell, because the world won't silence itself. You have to rise above it. Section 13, no one is watching, and that's perfect. You think no one sees your hard work? You think nobody notices the early mornings, the long nights, the sacrifices? Good, because that means you're free. You're free from the pressure to perform. You're free from the need to impress. You're free to build in silence without eyes watching your every move. See, most people crave attention. They want instant recognition, quick praise, constant applause. But here's the problem. When you live for eyes on you, you die the moment they look away. Let me remind you of something powerful. The most transformational seasons of your life will happen in complete silence, when no one is clapping, when no one is checking in, when the world has moved on and you're left with nothing but your own drive. That's when the real you is born. Psychologically, this stage is what's known as the incubation period. It's a phase of deep growth and self-reconstruction. It's the phase where most people quit because they think their effort doesn't matter if no one's validating it. But in reality, this is the phase where your character is forged, where your identity transforms, where your results are seeded, not yet visible, but inevitable. Think of it like this. A seed grows best when it's buried, not exposed, not admired, buried, alone, silent. And just like that seed, your roots are growing right now, even if no one sees it. Napoleon Hill knew the power of this quiet phase. He once wrote, "The ladder of success is never crowded at the top." You know why? Because most people can't handle being unseen for too long. They abandon their mission because they confuse visibility with value. But your value isn't tied to views. It's tied to the consistency of your character. Let's go deeper. When you're not being watched, you develop something called intrinsic motivation, doing the work for the sake of becoming who you were meant to be, not for a round of applause. That kind of motivation, it's powerful. It's resilient. It doesn't burn out because it's not dependent on dopamine hits from external validation. You stop chasing attention and start chasing excellence. You stop asking, is anyone noticing? And you start declaring, I'm becoming someone worth noticing. This is where the winners are made. Not on stage, not in public, not when the lights are on, but in the dark, in the repetition, in the daily grind that nobody posts about. So don't fear the silence. Use it. Let the world sleep on you. Let them underestimate your quiet season. Let them scroll past your discipline, your hunger, your progress, because by the time they notice you, it'll be too late. You'll already be 10 steps ahead. You'll already be undeniable. You'll already be everything you told yourself you could become when nobody was listening. Right now, comment this below and make it your new standard. I grow stronger in silence. Because you do. And when the noise returns, when the spotlight finds you, you won't flinch, because you were built in the shadows, in solitude, in silence. Like this if you're building quietly but relentlessly. Comment, I grow stronger in silence. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where silent warriors prepare for loud victories. Hit the bell, because nobody needs to see your growth for it to be real. Section 14, build the machine, routine and repetition. Success doesn't come from big moments. It comes from tiny, invisible repetitions. Done with discipline, done with purpose, done with obsession. You don't rise when you feel like it. You rise when you've built a system that doesn't care how you feel. Let me say this loud. Winners don't rely on willpower. They rely on systems. Every champion you admire, from athletes to entrepreneurs to thinkers, they don't just try hard. They've built machines around their purpose, machines made of habits, routines, and relentless execution. And here's the truth. Your mind craves repetition. Psychologically, the human brain is wired to automate behavior. When something is repeated often enough, it moves from conscious effort into subconscious command. That's how a person goes from trying to change to being changed. It's not magic. It's muscle memory of the mind. Napoleon Hill understood this long before neuroscience proved it. He wrote, "You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be." But how do you do that? Through rituals, through routine, through the repetition that reshapes your identity. You can't become a new person with old patterns. You can't rise at the level of your dreams if your habits still belong to your excuses. Want clarity? Fix your mornings. Want momentum? Fix your nights. Want freedom? Build discipline into your daily schedule so tight that laziness suffocates in it. Here's the brutal truth most people avoid. You are only as strong as your worst day. And on your worst day, when your motivation is gone, when your confidence is shaken, when your energy is drained, your routine is what saves you. It's your machine, your lifeline. It's the code your future is built on. So how do you build it? Step 1, audit your day. Where does your time go? What habits are on autopilot? What's helping you grow? And what's keeping you stuck? Step 2, design a repeatable system. Wake up at the same time. Do the hard thing first. Protect your focus window. Have a shutdown ritual at night. Repeat. Step 3, make the routine sacred. Don't adjust your routine to fit your mood. Adjust your mood to fit your routine, because emotion is temporary, but systems are eternal. This is how you remove resistance. This is how you train your brain to follow through without the drama, because you know what real power looks like. Not fireworks, not excitement, not hype. It looks like consistency. It looks like doing it anyway. It looks like showing up again and again and again until the person you dreamed of becoming walks out of the mirror and into real life. You're not trying to change for a week. You're reprogramming your life. This is how empires are built, brick by brick, ritual by ritual, repetition by repetition. So today, stop waiting for the perfect plan. Start building your machine and let the world try to figure out how you keep showing up like a force of nature. Drop this in the comments right now to anchor your identity. I am the machine. Let it become your truth. Let it become your standard. Like this, if you're done improvising and ready to automate greatness, comment, I am the machine. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where routines become revolutions. Hit the bell, because every day deserves a system, and every system builds the future. Section 15, use solitude to build strength. Most people fear being alone. They fear the silence, they fear the stillness, they fear the absence of validation, noise, or company. But what they don't understand is this. Solitude is not punishment, it's power. The greatest breakthroughs in your life will not come when you're surrounded by people. They will come when it's just you, the truth, and your thoughts, when there's nothing to distract you, nothing to interrupt the mirror you've been avoiding. Because here's the truth. Solitude forces you to confront who you are when no one is watching, and that's when the transformation begins. Psychologically, solitude is linked to increased creativity, deep reflection, emotional regulation, and enhanced mental resilience. In fact, researchers have found that intentional solitude, time deliberately spent alone, increases clarity and personal growth. But society doesn't teach you that. Society teaches you to chase noise, to stay busy, to fear being alone, as if your value depends on how many people want your attention. Let me tell you something loud and clear. You don't need company to feel complete. You need alignment. You need peace. You need solitude to hear your soul. Napoleon Hill understood this in ways that most people overlook. In Think and Grow Rich, he introduced the concept of invisible counselors, a technique where he imagined sitting in solitude with the greatest minds in history, drawing strength from their imagined presence. He used his imagination, silence, and deep focus as tools to strengthen his identity, purpose, and thinking. Deliberate autosuggestion is the agency of control through which an individual may voluntarily feed his subconscious mind on thoughts of a creative nature. What does that mean? It means when you're alone, you are no longer performing. You are programming your next level. Solitude is when you reconnect with your goals, listen to your intuition, reflect on your patterns, strengthen your emotional armor. You become unshakable, not around others, but away from them. And let's get something straight. Solitude is different from loneliness. Loneliness is a lack of connection. Solitude is the presence of self. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You need to understand yourself. Because when you do, you stop chasing fake friendships. You stop begging for attention. You stop compromising your standards to avoid feeling alone. Instead, you learn to sit in your own presence and feel power, not panic. You learn to recharge your soul, not drain it in shallow interactions. You learn that every second spent in solitude is a reinvestment in your strength. The world is full of people who can't stand to be alone. They jump from one distraction to the next, one person to the next, one dopamine hit to the next, and they never evolve because evolution happens in silence. So if you're in a season where it feels like everyone's gone, like no one understands, like it's just you and the weight of your dreams, good. That's the forge. That's the fire. That's where real strength is built. Comment below right now to claim your solitude. I don't fear solitude. I grow in it. Because you do, and every second you spend mastering yourself in private will show up as power in public. Like this, if you're building silently and becoming powerful in your solitude. Comment, I don't fear solitude, I grow in it. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where your quiet moments become your loudest growth. Turn on notifications, because isolation isn't weakness, it's your initiation. Section 16, turn pain into precision. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is a signal, a message, a tool. And when you learn how to use it, pain becomes your greatest asset. Listen closely. Most people try to avoid pain at all costs. They numb it, they hide from it, they run. But the truth is, what you run from only grows stronger. What you confront, however, makes you unstoppable. Every pain you've ever felt, rejection, betrayal, failure, heartbreak, all of it was pointing you somewhere. It was sharpening your awareness. It was exposing your weaknesses. It was breaking down the version of you that wasn't strong enough for what's coming. And when you stop asking, why did this happen to me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me, that's when everything changes. You shift from victim to weapon. Napoleon Hill said it like this: every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Let that sink in. There is no pain without a purpose, unless you waste it. Let's break this down through the lens of psychology. There's a concept called post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that going through adversity, when processed intentionally, can actually result in higher levels of personal strength, emotional depth, and life clarity. That means the very thing that tried to destroy you can become the foundation that rebuilds the next unshakable version of you, but only if you choose to feel it, not flee from it. Only if you choose to extract the lesson, not just the memory. Only if you stop bleeding emotionally and start carving out your new path with the same blade. Think of pain as pressure. Pressure does two things. It crushes the unprepared. It sharpens the focused. The choice is yours. You can let your pain become your prison, or you can turn your pain into precision. Use it to get clear on what matters, cut out what doesn't, fuel your drive when motivation fades, remind yourself of what you'll never tolerate again. That betrayal, use it to sharpen your standards. That failure, use it to refine your strategy. That loneliness, use it to reconnect with your power. Everything can serve you if you stop letting it sabotage you. People who rise don't rise because life spared them from pain. They rise because they harnessed it. They turned setbacks into setups. They turned heartbreak into high standards. They turned chaos into clarity. And now it's your turn. Right now, take a moment to look back at your hardest season. What did it teach you? What did it strip away? What strength did it reveal in you that you didn't even know was there? That's not just survival. That's the beginning of precision. A life where you know exactly who you are, what you deserve, and where you're going. Drop this in the comments and lock it in. My pain sharpened my power. Say it with pride, because it didn't break you, it built you. You just didn't see it yet. Now it's time to use it. Like this, if your pain made you more focused, not fragile, comment, my pain sharpened my power. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where pressure is transformed into purpose. Turn on the bell Your pain just became your new edge. Section 17, your legacy is your responsibility. Let's get something straight right now. You're not just living your life, you're writing your legacy. Every action you take, every word you speak, every morning you rise or stay in bed, it's all part of your permanent story. And here's the most powerful and terrifying truth. No one else is responsible for that story but you. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your boss, your partner, or your pain. It's your legacy, your responsibility. Most people will never build a legacy. You know why? Because they don't think long term. They think about today's comfort, not tomorrow's consequences. They trade discipline for dopamine. They exchange purpose for popularity. But here's what makes you different. You know that your name will outlive your time. And what that name stands for, that's on you. Napoleon Hill said, "When riches begin to come, they come so quickly, in such great abundance, that one wonders where they have been hiding during all those lean years." He wasn't just talking about money, he was talking about legacy, the wealth of impact, the fortune of fulfillment, the treasure of a life lived on purpose. But you don't build that by accident. You build it by waking up every day and asking yourself, what am I doing today that my future self will thank me for and my name will be remembered by? Legacy is not what you leave behind when you die. Legacy is what you leave behind in every room you walk out of. It's in how you treat people. It's in how hard you work. It's in the standard you hold yourself to when no one's watching. Psychologically, this is tied to a concept called future self-continuity. It's your brain's ability to emotionally connect with the version of you that exists 5, 10, 20 years from now. People who lack this connection, they sabotage themselves. They make choices the current version of them enjoys, even if it destroys everything their future self could have had. But people who build legacy, they think like this: I'm not here to just survive. I'm here to leave something that echoes long after I'm gone. And they act accordingly. They show up when it's hard. They lead when it's inconvenient. They take ownership of every flaw, every failure, and every future victory. Because legacy doesn't ask, what did you want? Legacy asks, what did you build? So what are you building? What will your name mean when you're no longer around to defend it? Will your children, or even strangers, speak of you with respect because of what you stood for, what you overcame, and what you gave the world? Or will you leave behind nothing but silence because you never took your life seriously enough to shape it? Right now, I want you to claim it. Lock it in. Drop this in the comments. I am building a legacy that will outlive me, because you are. And every choice you make is either writing greatness or erasing your potential. You don't get to hand that job to anyone else. You don't get to blame the past. You don't get to pause the pen. This is your script. This is your responsibility. This is your legacy. Like this, if you're living for more than the moment, comment, I am building a legacy that will outlive me. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where we don't just talk about success, we live legacy. Turn on the bell, because every day you wait is a page you never wrote. Section 18, burn the excuses. There's something standing between you and the life you want. It's not your background, it's not your finances, it's not your job, your parents, or the people who doubted you. It's your excuses, the quiet justifications, the subtle blame, the lies you tell yourself to avoid discomfort. Let's be brutally honest, your excuses are the prison bars you built with your own hands, and the only way to break free is to burn them down. Every excuse you make strengthens the chains around your potential. I don't have time. I wasn't born into success. I'm just not wired for that. They got lucky, I didn't. Stop. Excuses are comfortable. Excuses are seductive. Excuses give you permission to stay the same and feel good about it. But here's what Napoleon Hill taught us. In the rawest, most unapologetic terms, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. No excuses, no finger pointing, no escape hatches. You either get results or you get reasons. You can't have both. Let's look at this from the psychological side. There's a cognitive distortion known as external attribution bias. It's when people blame outside forces for outcomes that were really under their control. It's the most dangerous mindset you can have, because if everything is always someone else's fault, if your progress always depends on circumstances, then you've handed your power over to life, and life doesn't care enough to fix it for you. But when you burn the excuses, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power. You say, I'm not where I want to be because of me. And that's the best news ever, because it means I can change it. That's not weakness, that's ownership. And ownership is where transformation begins. Your excuses are protecting your ego, but they're also killing your evolution. And right now I want you to think of the biggest excuse you've been holding on to, that one story you keep telling yourself, the one that keeps you small, safe, average. What does it cost you? Opportunities, time, health, confidence, peace? Now ask yourself, what would happen if I dropped that excuse for good? What would happen if you stopped blaming your past and started rewriting your future, stopped waiting for someone to believe in you and started becoming someone worth believing in, stopped saying one day and started saying day one? That's how legends are made, not by getting it right every time, but by showing up every day, even when it's hard, unfair, and painful, without hiding behind an excuse. Because while most people are defending their limitations, you'll be outgrowing yours, you'll be turning accountability into fuel, you'll be turning effort into excellence, you'll be turning your life into proof that ownership beats excuse making every time. So today, we burn it all: the story, the victimhood, the blame, the hesitation, and from the ashes, you rise. Drop this in the comments right now and let the world know: I burn every excuse. I own my outcome. Say it, type it, live it, because you don't need a new plan. You need a new standard. Like this: if you're done justifying your limits and ready to exceed them, comment: I burn every excuse. I own my outcome. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where accountability becomes power. Turn on the bell. No more delays, no more distractions, no more excuses. Section 19, focus until you forget the noise. Focus is not just a tool, it's a weapon. And if you aim it right, you don't just get results, you silence the world. In today's chaos-driven world, everyone is talking. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone's a critic, a doubter, a backseat driver for your life. But when your focus becomes ferocious, something incredible happens. The noise disappears. You don't hear the doubts. You don't hear the gossip. You don't hear the echo of old fears. Why? Because you've locked in on your purpose so hard, you've tuned out everything that isn't aligned with it. Let's talk psychology. There's a state of mind called flow. Flow happens when you're so deeply engaged in something, so immersed in your mission, that time, judgment, and distractions all vanish. You enter a state of high performance where only the task exists. And guess what? You can train yourself to live there, not once a year, not just when you're feeling it, but daily. That's what high performers do. That's what world changers master. They don't focus when it's convenient. They focus until everything else becomes irrelevant. Napoleon Hill emphasized this exact principle. Concentration of effort is the beginning of all attainment. He didn't say motivation. He didn't say multitasking. He said concentration of effort, total mental immersion into one purpose, one direction, one mission. But here's the truth. Most people will never experience this kind of power because they're too busy watching, scrolling, comparing, reacting, doubting. They're listening to noise instead of building their voice. And while they're caught in mental traffic, you need to be blazing down the tunnel of focus. Let me tell you something powerful. The deeper your focus, the quieter the world becomes. It's not that the haters go away. It's not that the doubters stop talking. It's that you stop hearing them because your eyes are locked on what's ahead. You don't respond, you produce, you don't debate, you dominate, you don't explain, you execute. And every time you choose to go deep, to lock in, to train your focus like a muscle, you increase your resistance to distraction. Think of it like this. The mind is a battlefield. Distraction is the enemy. Focus is your sword. Sharpen it, wield it, use it to cut away everything that doesn't serve your growth. That petty drama, gone. That fake friend who doesn't clap, irrelevant. That insecurity from 5 years ago, muted. That fear of what they'll think, deleted. You're in your lane, you're in your flow, you're in control. And once you taste that kind of clarity, that kind of power, you'll never trade it for noise again. So here's the mantra for warriors who focus beyond the static. I focus so hard the world disappears. Comment that now. Lock it into your identity, because while the world screams for attention, you'll be quietly building a legacy. Like this, if you're done listening and ready to focus so deeply they can't even find you. Comment, I focus so hard the world disappears. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where mental focus becomes your most powerful weapon. Turn on notifications. Your clarity starts now and we'll sharpen it together. Section 20, own it, all of it. This is it. You've heard the truth, you've faced the mirror, you've walked through the fire. Now it's time to do the hardest, most liberating thing a person can ever do. Own it, all of it. Own your failures, own your wins, own your fear, own your strength, own your habits, own your potential. Not with guilt, not with shame, but with full command. Because once you take total ownership of your life, you become unbreakable. Why? Because nothing is outside of you anymore. No excuses, no blame, no waiting, just you versus you every single day. And that's the fight that builds champions. See, we're taught to outsource everything. We blame our past, we blame our parents, we blame society, we blame time, we blame the algorithm, we blame luck. But none of that will move you forward. None of that will put fire in your chest when you're exhausted and alone. None of that will save you at 3 a.m. when your dreams are on life support. You will, your discipline will, your mindset will, your ownership will. Napoleon Hill made this unshakable truth clear. You are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. Let that settle in your bones. You are not here to drift. You're here to dominate, not to survive, but to build, shape, and control what your life becomes. But here's the deal. You don't get to own the rewards without owning the responsibility. You don't get to claim greatness while still blaming your circumstances. You don't get to talk legacy and walk in excuses. You have to own everything. That means owning your discipline even when you're tired, owning your time even when no one's watching, owning your standards even when the world tempts you to lower them. Psychologically, this is known as radical accountability. It's a mindset where you stop seeing yourself as a product of your environment and start becoming the producer of your future. You become the cause, not the effect. And that shift, it's your superpower, because when you own your flaws, nobody can use them against you. When you own your pain, it can't control you. When you own your life, nobody else can. So this is your moment. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more explaining yourself to people who will never understand your fire. Just action, just purpose, just presence. You were never supposed to blend in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were born to lead, even if it means walking alone. So today, right now, you draw the line in the sand and you say, I am no longer a prisoner of excuses. I am no longer waiting for validation. I am no longer living a life half-lived. I own my mind. I own my time. I own my legacy. Comment that now. Tattoo it on your mindset. I own my life completely, because that's the final evolution. The moment you stop waiting for someone to hand you permission and you take command of everything that's yours. Like this, if you're ready to live without limits. Comment, I own my life completely. Subscribe to Napoleon Hill Motivation, where ownership isn't a quote, it's a lifestyle. Turn on the bell, because every video is another weapon in your arsenal of mastery.